show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Alec Ray and Tammy McManus are here with me. We're sponsored by Cameron's Commercial Vehicles, and if you are looking for a quality new or used van, then Sean's your man. Go to CameronCommercials.com and they will help you out with whatever you require for your business. Delighted you could join us on the programme. There's more than a few talking points, as you would imagine. Our headline sponsored by CancelMyParkingTicket.com. That's a handy one for Ruffy. Hooligans tarnish the reputation of Scottish football at Sunday's Old Firm fixture at Ibrox. Celtic, Falkirk, Dunfermline and St Mirren all booked their place in the semi-final. Celtic, of course, will face St Mirren, Dunfermline take on Falkirk in the draw. And what now for Aberdeen is their season comes to a crashing halt with no manager. They've relinquished their hold on the Scottish Cup and they're now playing to try and avoid getting sucked into that possible playoff place for relegation to the Championship. Dons fans, give us your thoughts on that as well. So lots to talk about, and as ever we confirmed the 4 teams that will contest the Scottish Cup semi-final, so we thought we'd throw in a question courtesy of Elite Joinery and Fire Protection. When was the last time Dunfermline graced the semi-finals of the Scottish Cup? Was it 2008, 2009, 2010 or 2011? Ruffy, do you want to have a wee stab at that one?
How many have been at Dunfermline?
Did they get knocked out?
Hey?
Did they get knocked out of tubs?
When bust that year?
10.
2010.
2009.
Yeah, Tam, what are you going to go for?
I was at Dunfermline when they got to the final against Celtic and get beat. I think they got to after the year after that against Falkirk. I'll go 2-10 and all.
2-10.
It was 2-10.
Okay, we'll give you the answer at the end of the programme. Must just mention Paul, I ran into him. He's got his own Our Scotland YouTube channel and he watches our show religiously. So I thought, well, no, Paul, all the best with your YouTube channel and thank you very much for watching us as well. So there's lots to get our teeth into in the Scottish Cup quarter-finals. We now know the draw. Here it is, the draw for the Scottish Cup semi-finals. It's Celtic against St Mirren and Dunfermline will take on Falkirk. What an opportunity it is for Neil Lennon or John McGlynn to get their side into the Scottish Cup final at Hampden in May. And of course Stephen Robinson and St Mirren could be looking at a cup double if they knock out Celtic and then get to the final and win it. What a season it would be for St Mirren, and still trying to avoid that playoff place in a battle with Kilmarnock, possibly more teams involved as the twists and turns go on their way. If you are obviously going to comment with us on our YouTube channel because it's the aftermath of an Old Firm quarter-final, then please try and keep it as sensible as you possibly can. Try and keep it as decent as you possibly can as well, because we want to try and offer as many opinions as possible on this game. So with that in mind, I can tell you that in the last few hours, Scotland's Greater Glasgow Chief Superintendent Emma Croft has been interviewed speaking to Sky Sports on, of course, the post-match. She's mentioned there was 9 arrests so far and that number will rise as undoubtedly CCTV footage is analysed. 20 crime reports. She expects that to rise significantly in numbers as well, because remember, the police had to deal with incidents before the match, they had to deal with incidents in the ground during the match, and also then had to deal with incidents after the match had finished and the penalty shootout was over, as many people saw on their screens. So staff injuries at the moment, 3 to 4 injuries with that could rise. Satisfied with the operation, she said, could we have done something better? We feel there was enough police officers inside the stadium, but again raising questions that if there has to be even more police officers at these Category A style matches, then you have to ask seriously about the questions of people's behaviour going to matches. There was activity inside the stadium and on the pitch as well. So it's a difficult job that the police and the stewards and the staff at Ibrox have to deal with in this one. And I open it up to you, Ruffy, and quite simply say, we can make our observations, but it's not for us to determine innocence or guilt on a situation like this. All we can say, I think, over and above what we've witnessed, is it just brings shame on the game.
Yeah, well, I think right away, I mean, anybody who comes on the park is guilty of coming on the park for a start, you know, and then obviously it kicked off after that. But no, you would hope, you know, there's been arrests there, and we want to see things being done, and that's the pressure I would put on the police. Let us see these people, no, let us get them banning orders, so that you would like to think that the other crowd would take it on board. If this is going to happen to me, then I need to watch what I'm doing. But it was totally, the whole thing just got out of hand, and not blaming anyone. Anybody come on the park is there to be blamed.
I had a fear. I was at the 1980 Scottish Cup final, and I watched the whole thing unfold. I had a fear that had there not been that police cordon, that could have happened, Alec, again.
Yeah, I actually missed it in real time. I was on the way to our game, and I obviously caught up with some of the stuff on social media. And I think you actually hit the nail on the head when you say it's a shame. You know, I think if you go back to the week prior, there was over 1 million folk tuned in to watch that, which is an incredible number of people. But what happens is this gets beamed all over the planet. We're trying to sell this product. You know, we're on here every week talking about, you know, the title race and how good it is, and you know, it's probably unprecedented in that respect. But now we're actually back to square one, because we're actually talking about the aftermath. And you were absolutely right, because there was stuff doing the rounds as well. You know, but you know, kind of police activity before and, you know, during the game. So I think it's totally unnecessary, and I do expect there to be significant arrests on the back of it. You know, I think it's the start of these investigations, and then the governing body will have to look at what the next process is in terms of once you get all the facts and figures, and then I would expect both clubs to be reprimanded.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that, and for anybody who basically, and again, we try and offer a balance and a sensible approach to this. For anyone who wants to start definitively, you know, accusing one or the other on this one, there's no moral high ground when it comes to this match. Yeah, well, we call it whataboutery, Tam, but there's no moral high ground, because I could only try and list the things that were going on that the authorities, the SFA, the police will have to deal with as well. First and foremost, we had Celtic fans storming through an exit into the ground. Turnstiles had to be closed. That is a fact. There was damage to the Broomloan Road facilities. Celtic will have to pay for this. This is another outcome from damage to those facilities. And then from there, as the Chief Superintendent has highlighted, this was a case of Celtic fans, the euphoria of winning the penalty shootout, entering the field of play, not allowed. Then the reaction of the Rangers fans entering the field of play. And then you could see from there the violence that ensued. A Celtic fan, a Celtic backroom staff member attacked. There was flares going off which could have caused serious damage to someone in the crowd. Police stewards and members of the public attacked and threatened. Sectarian singing was there in evidence. The policing in the aftermath, of course, of this is stretched to the limit, because it goes on after the game as well, where the police, and a lot of people don't realise this, you only need to go to accident and emergency to see the fallout from an Old Firm game. And then big questions, I think, have to be asked, Tam. Ultras wearing balaclavas. There'll be serious questions about the away allocation for these matches, which I think comes into sharp focus. And I think a lot of people will be hoping that both the clubs and the SFA, there will be fines handed out, but there's got to be lifetime bans to people who are basically tarnishing the clubs and, of course, our game.
And it's a minority, Peter, it's not the majority. It's a minority on both sides that are ruining it for the decent supporters who want to go and support their club with their family, their kids, their pals. Win, lose or draw, you're up the road, you go for a pint, you go for something to eat. You don't go and start fighting with people in the street. So it's definitely a minority. And yeah, it was just really, really sad to see. It's sad to see this, this after the game, and I don't think there'll be a big away support now. I think that's gone. I think that full away support, people were excited about it. People were excited to see the atmosphere back. The atmosphere was great at the game, during the game. That's not going to happen again, Peter. That's gone now for me.
Do you think the SFA will reduce the allocation? You know, they had a certain percentage there, so you think that'll be reduced then, Tim?
Yeah, I think I don't know if they'll do it in the next game. I think obviously after the split will be Rangers at Parkhead.
Well,
I think it's unfair.
The league games are slightly different, whereas the rules in the Scottish Cup
you only
are different.
get 2,000.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think that'll be 2,000. But next season, it's not going to be any more than that. I don't think now.
And I have to point out again, I ask people to show a sensible point of view on our feed as well, because there are people who interact with it, and obviously there are people who will send us emails and comment sections, the lot. And Jimbo says Peter's narrative is a disgrace. Only one set of fans and staff were assaulted. I would offer to anyone who's going to try and go through a whataboutery or blame on this, we are dealing with the facts. We are dealing with the facts that have come out from the Chief Superintendent. The First Minister, John Swinney, has come out with a statement as well. The SFA have quickly released a statement on the conduct in this game, and we are dealing with the facts and the rules that you have to abide by when watching a game of football. Nobody is allowed to enter the field of play. It is a fact of the damages that have gone on before and during the game, and these things have all come out. It's not for us to determine innocence or guilt. And again, I would highlight the facts here that the SFA will deal with it. There'll be fines, there'll be lifetime bans, that the clubs will undoubtedly deal with it, because they won't tolerate what's gone on from any supporters who have been found guilty of misdemeanours or breaking the law. And that is basically where we're at. And that investigation may well take a couple of weeks, could take a month or so when it all, comes out. But from there, I think what's got to happen, Ruffy, is there's got to be, again, discussions post-inquiry as to where we go with the police on this, because it costs a heck of a lot of money to get police officers to come to grounds. We're talking about some clubs actually shelling out money to even facilitate VAR, but to facilitate police officers, if you've got to get more and more of them into grounds for games like this, it's a hefty price to pay.
Yeah, but as Tam says, it's just terrible for the majority of people to go to the games, because it is a minority. You could see for yourself, you don't count the numbers exactly, but it is very, very small, maybe 100 or something like that, and there's 50,000 at that game, and you have to say the rest of the people that were at the game behaved themselves impeccably. I think a lot of people at that game would be looking, going, actually agreeing with you, going, what in the hell is this? If we're here to watch a game of football, okay, disappointed maybe lost it, but I mean, you act responsible enough, and because we're trying to make it not a family entertainment. I mean, I don't know if you saw the clip, the owner boy for the 49ers. I don't know what he must have been thinking. Because American football American football is all about family entertainment and dealing with winning and losing. You don't see anything like that in America, so it'll be an eye opener for him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be drawing comparisons with what's going on in America. It's a different culture with regards to sport, Tam, I have to say, with regards to the way they go about going to American football games. As Ruffy said, they all sit there and drink their beer outside in the pickup trucks, and they can sit next to each other. We have a different culture, we have a different history, we have a different, obviously, attitude culturally to religion, which has basically, that's the poison of this game. People use the word hatred. It's a sad state of affairs, but that's what you get with these situations. There are people there who just go and they absolutely hate the opposition fans. I have to say there are a lot of people who in normal life have lots of Rangers and Celtic fans who hang about together, but in this game...
That's the sad thing about it, Peter. There's people, we've all got pals, Celtic, Rangers, we all go home and we'll go for a pint, go for something to eat. But people who go to the games and they just hate the opposition. They hate them because they're maybe a different religion, they support a different team. And it's a minority. I still believe that's a minority. I still believe that there's a lot of guys who go to the game, as I said earlier, they go win, lose or draw. They go for a pint with their pals, they take the mickey out of them and it's good-natured. But there's a section in both sides who just want to cause trouble. And, the ramifications of this... Ramifications of this need to be stern, Peter. The people that ran on the park need to be... they need to be fingered by the police and they need to be banned for life, because, listen, at the end of the day, if there's no consequences for people, they're just going to keep doing it. So there's got to be banning orders, arrests, and then that sends a message out that this is not, you're not allowed to do this on the pitch. But if you're just giving them a slap in the wrist and maybe a fine. They're just going to do it the next time as well, Peter.
Yeah, I'd like to see them being banned from the ground. But then again, I think there needs to be a longer term view on groups of supporters who clearly feel as if they've got more power than they should have. We're talking about people demanding, the return of the Green Brigade. You're looking at the Ultras coming on with balaclavas in the Rangers end as well, Alec. I think if you're coming to a game with a balaclava on just so that you're not identified, there's something seriously wrong with that whole situation.
Yeah, it looks as if it's a wee bit kind of as if they're looking to try and get one over the authorities by actually putting that on because they can't get identified. And you tend to find that with these particular groups that they're all dressed in a similar manner as well. So again, it's all down to identification. But listen, I don't want to stereotype because I don't really know, but you tend to feel as if they're the younger element of the fan base. And when you look at guys like us in middle age and you think to yourself, you're going to the game, as Tam says, you want to enjoy the game. Now listen, obviously you're not going to enjoy it if your team loses and you're a wee bit downbeat, but at the same token, you're not want to go and start causing trouble with the opposition fans. And unfortunately it seems as if, and I would imagine it, and I don't know if it's just the Ultras that are kind of to blame for this, but it looked as if it was just an absolute mess all round, and the aesthetics looked terrible for the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing about it, Ruffy, which again, the questions have been asked of the Greater Glasgow Chief Superintendent, Emma Croft, is, was there enough police there? Should they have cordoned it off and made it, a really tight wall of police around, for example, the Brimlow Road end and the Copeland Road end? But how much is enough?
There's those two sections, aren't it, you would think?
First of all, I don't. If you're in charge of the whole spectrum of what the police are going to do, you've got to make a decision. And I would have swayed that most of the trouble at that game would have been outside the park, and I think maybe that's what they've identified outside. I don't think you would expected what happened.
Well, the Celtic fans would have been held in for a period of time after it, which you could see when the interviews were going on the television, because you could see that they were still in that end. They do have to deal with stuff inside the stadium. They do have to deal with stuff outside. How many is enough to satisfy everybody's policing of this game on the basis that you think, can these people actually behave themselves? And the answer is emphatically no.
No, but if you were to throw out there, where is the trouble going to come from? Segments of both fans where the trouble is. So I would say that's the area you identify. But it's a decision you've got to make. Do you swamp inside the park or do you swamp outside the park? These are decisions that the police have got to make.
Do you know one of the things that they've actually implemented in the last couple of years is they've actually have to get into the ground about 2 hours before the game, and then, as you rightly said, Tam, they keep you in for 50 minutes until things settle down. So they're trying to kind of contain this as best as they possibly can at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, it's a difficult topic, and amazingly, 20 minutes into the programme, we're talking about the conduct of supporters and the ramifications after it. What's going to happen? What will the penalties be, not only for individual fans who might find themselves up in court, lifetime bans, club fines as well for trying to maintain order in there. And of course, there will be obviously repercussions for damage to the stadium as well. So there's so many layers to the bad behaviour at this game that I think a lot of people will be looking closely at it. And believe me, once you get to the politicians, then we go down that road again, where suddenly this fixture could be severely curtailed in the future. Whether it means no fans going to it from the opposition, only time will tell. Okay. We've given it as much time as we possibly can. We'll let the authorities, not only from the police end, but from the SFA onwards, to deal with it. And then we can debate that as it unfolds. To the game itself.
Should take us a couple of minutes.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, God almighty, man. I mean, it was tense. It was tense, but the quality was poor. Is that fair?
Well, you have to say, Celtic going to Ibrox and having a shot at goal, says it all for me. I think when the team lines come out, and obviously McGregor wasn't there and Tierney wasn't there. It was a makeshift midfield, shuffling players all over the place. I think the Celtic supporters would have felt the worst, with that lineup.
Yeah.
You have to give Rangers credit. They were the ones that were trying to win the game, and Celtic were just trying to see it out. Again, you have to give credit for the defensive ability of the people at the back, but as a game itself, they're always tense. They're always, you're always, and obviously the 2 goals that were chopped off as well added a wee bit of spice to it as well. But on the whole, no, it wasn't a great game to watch. But I think a lot of us said penalties, didn't we?
Yeah, well, listen, I think we all did. But,
Yeah.
but the one thing I was going to say, Alec, on this, Danny Roll after the game says it's not about our mentality. Only one team deserved to win over 120 minutes, and the shootout's down to luck. You can take, contest some of that there, but Rangers had 24 shots. In
6 on target.
Yeah, and Celtic had 1. I mean, and by the way, as you know, because we're slightly older, I've been to many a game where I can see Gary Stevens, I can see Richard Gough, I can see Terry Butcher. I could pick from about 4 or 5 left backs that they put in there. Rangers had countless games in the 90s where Celtic bombarded them and they hit them in the counter-attack and won the game. This was a classic story of that, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think there was a slight difference for the 90s as to today, and it's pure, it was down to quality. I think at the top end, Rangers huffed and puffed, and I think Chermiti had a couple of really good chances, really. If you look to try and kind of win games like this, he had 2 moments. He had the one that came round the back post, and I don't even think he connects particularly well with the left foot.
He's got to score, hasn't he?
Well, I would say that's a half chance, whereas I think the other chance is a very good chance when it gets pulled across to his right foot, and then he drags it past the second post. So these are moments that define these type of games, Peter, because they're few and far between them, and it's real quality chances. And I also thought Celtic defended really well throughout the course of the game. And it's interesting because you talk about mentality, and it is a real factor of playing for Rangers or Celtic. And I look at this particular group at the moment who were written off up until October, going, worst recruitment drive in many a year. And then Danny Rowe comes in and he gets them into a position where they're only 6 points currently behind. However, I think there was some mention of consistency after the game. I don't know if it was James Tavernier may well have done the press. But anyway, they was talking about consistency from now to the end of the season. And I don't see them with the consistency unless they can trap up with a really, really kind of impressive run.
9 wins?
Well, they need to win 8-1 maybe, 1 draw. But I'm looking at them over the course of the last month when it really mattered. When you're getting into the February-March period, they've dropped a lot of points. It was 8 points in 4 games. For me, that doesn't show championship form. However, that's not to say that they can go on a run now, because we've seen over the course that they're capable of doing that. But I don't know what the setback of these 2 Old Firm games will do for the second half at Ibrox last week, and then obviously yesterday, where a team has a shot and then you ultimately go out the cup. So I don't know for morale what that will do, but he's got a big job trying to pick them back up.
No, it was a good wee stat that's moved on in the years
You love stats,
from the past.
Yeah.
There's only 1 Scottish player started that game from both teams.
Yeah.
It's amazing how it's moved on. That game has moved on. Cause
It's not a good start.
Alec been used to a lot of Scottish boys.
Yeah, but you see when you're talking about a lot of people go, because I think you're right to say about the actual Celtic starting 11 was kind of a weakened. When you look at the actual personnel who played, with the greatest respect to them, but Celtic are missing 5 guys that are starters, so they've still now got to come back in. So you've got Johnston, Carter Vickers, Tierney, Callum McGregor, and Jota. For me, that's 5. Engels and all potentially, so potentially 6. So you're looking at 6 potential starters not even starting for Celtic on that day. So better things are to come for Celtic down the line. Whereas I'm not really sure there's too many missing out of that Rangers squad.
As far as Celtic are concerned, I must admit, Tom, when I saw the teams, I thought, this is no Tierney, no McGregor. Especially no McGregor, and Tierney's been playing well, but McGregor for me, and I looked and I thought to myself, this is a great chance for Rangers really to go and win this game. but Celtic's defence was throwing themselves in front of every shot you could think of. I mean, Trusty must have had his best game in a Celtic jersey.
Yeah, I think Martin O'Neill had a wee throwback to the early 2000s where he just played the biggest defenders that he had available. I think I've played against.
That's why he went with Scala.
Scales left back. People were going, how is he playing Scales left back? Well, you seen why he played them, because Rangers just hit diagonals onto him all the time, onto Scott Olsen. They bombarded them, went longer, and Trusty, him and the big boy Arthur. Headed everything, cleared everything. They defended really, really strongly, physically, and that's why they played them at the back. I thought Celtic defended really, really well. They kind of, I wouldn't say they played for penalties, but they didn't have the quality in the middle to front to go and really trouble Rangers. I thought Rangers didn't really give anything away throughout the home game. But I think if you look at the Celtic team, if you're a Rangers player or supporter when that team sheet comes in, I think that added a bit of pressure to Rangers. I think it added pressure to the Rangers supporters thinking, surely we beat Celtic, surely we beat that Celtic team today. That's one of the worst Celtic teams that I've seen. And I think it was. That's one of the worst Celtic teams I've seen in a long time, Peter. Sorry. And I thought Rangers would go and take care of them. The fact that they didn't and the fact that they went to penalties, I think added even more pressure onto Rangers. And I think Alec touched on it a wee bit there as well. I think the mentality of both clubs, I think Celtic are poor this season, but they might win the double because they've got that mentality to win when they're not playing well, win when they've got players out. I'm not so sure Rangers have got that, Peter. I'm not so sure Rangers have got that from top to bottom at the club at the minute, and that's the reason why they've not won the last two games when they should have, in my opinion.
I didn't think Rangers had that 3 or 4 weeks ago. I mean, I said on this programme that I thought their mentality, I thought their ability to go and win the league was gone. I'd seen them a couple of times in the flesh as well, and looked and thought there's not enough creativity. There's not that clinical, creativity, getting it in, service, finishing, to go on and drive to win the league. This Celtic side, Alec, last week when I said no McGregor makes it really difficult for Celtic to go on and win the league, they couldn't get an out ball in that game because when they were launching it long,
they keep coming back.
Yeah, Maeda's not going to hold the ball up and bring the midfield into play. And McGregor, and I just thought Luke McCowan was so out of his depth as a number 6 because McGregor makes the game easy for everybody.
Well, I think it shows the player that McGregor is. Because we speak about it often enough, and he's like the quarterback, keeps things ticking over, he slows it down, he speeds it up, he plays through the lines. And I think that's the reason why, that I've said this for years, that since McGregor's been in there, he is, and when they go, you're thinking, who's he going to replace him? Because he is, it's hard to replace now. They obviously had Scott Brown prior to that, and I genuinely believe that McGregor's more of a technician than Scott Brown. Scott had the driving force and the leadership roles, but when I look at Callum, I look at a good technician, and as I said, I thought they would have missed him, and they did miss him yesterday, but Rangers did not, if you look at the Rangers 6s, just constantly playing 5 yards slow, this and that, and it's kind of laboured, whereas he kind of pops it through the lines and drives. And I think that's because I've obviously seen at the top end of the pitch, I feel as if that's where Rangers have struggled in recent weeks. However, I still think you need a driving force for the middle of the park. And when I see Nico Raskin, I think it's neat and tidy and things, and he retains the ball well. But you don't get that driving force. And I think Chugwani actually does it better because he tries to progress through the lines. Yeah. So, I think that's something Rangers are going to have to look at as well.
Martin O'Neill pointed out in the aftermatch, apart from obviously, and rightly so, I think it's always difficult for managers to give any kind of serious comment to unrest and, the implications for the club and the aftermath of it, because they deal with effectively the football. And he said, it's our 4th game in 10 days and they defended superbly well. He was more or less wanting to try, and through all the madness that's ensued, pre, during and post the game, he was trying to emphasise the fact that with this team, they defended resolutely and eventually got to the point where it's penalty kicks.
Yeah, I just think it was Will that got Celtic over the line. And you're right, 4 games in 10 days, 4 away games. Aberdeen, Stuttgart, Rangers, and decimated injuries. You go there, you look at that team yesterday, you're thinking, wouldn't you fancy Celtic today? But it was just the will, Peter, the will to put your body in the line. I thought the back 4 were outstanding. I thought by the Celtic have got a goalkeeper as well. I think they've found the goalkeeper. I think he's very good. And Hatate was superb. I think those 4 and Hatate in the middle won Celtic the game. I think the rest of them, middle to front, were poor. I think the subs that come on didn't really affect it either for Celtic.
Well, and Vuka, I mean,
Vuka
Vuka's like Adamu. I mean, that's a recruit.
Celtic
I'm not even going to say it this week, by the way. I know you laughed last week, but I looked at him and I went, you know, I know Martin O'Neill wasn't going to do it, but I was looking at him and thinking, there's another competition winner. Get him hooked.
It was like George Weir's brother, remember I signed him?
Yeah, honestly, he was
like that was 10 minutes before full time and then full extra time he played, and it was like Celtic playing with 10 men. He was you'll not kick another ball for Celtic after that. He was shocking.
Yeah.
And again, you're thinking Celtic's playing with near enough 10 men here, and Rangers can't beat them down. So I just think it was willpower and that will to win. And I think Martin as well. No, I think he's a very, very good coach, but I think he carries a wee bit of luck as well.
Javan Chara didn't offer them anything either.
No, nothing, and he was impressive when he first came in, but he came on and was getting thrown about with the two centre-halves as well, and you're thinking, are Celtic actually going to get up into Rangers half at any point?
Before I talk about the incidents, just a word on Fernandes. He's starting to look like a real player for Rangers.
Yeah, he shows a real level of composure. He can step forward like a modern-day centre-half. And he's obviously a threat at set plays as well, Peter. And
do you like him?
Well, initially when I thought him, I thought this guy's too casual for me. He gives me the heebie-jeebies, but the mistakes have lessened. I think he's grown in stature. He's obviously been linked to one or two clubs as well in the media, but he looks to me as if it's a guy that's going in the right direction. It actually looks as if it's for $3 million. It looks as if it's a snip.
Massive as well.
Who got the shootout shout?
Me.
Sam, what are we highlighting things that people get right along the
Well, it's not often it happens in here. You know,
It doesn't happen very often. I just
That'll be
thought,
2 weeks to trot.
By the way,
he said tight game, Celtic and penalties.
Yeah, you did say that. You did say that. We'll give you the credit for it. You never.
you know, tweet it, no?
Even a broken clock's right twice a day.
Oh, I got it right again.
I know, exactly. I'm surprised it didn't. I'm surprised it didn't.
You know why? He's too busy fighting everybody on it.
Last night.
Listen, if it's not facials, it's tweeting.
Anyway. You did touch on it as well, that last 4 or 5 games.
No, I did. I have to be honest with you. I think John's come back after his injury, and we've obviously highlighted a couple of saves about the Braga one and Livingston as well, a couple of free kicks. So, you know, and by the way, he played one back when he just come on, and it was a bit shy. Big Jack was sharp off his line and managed to bail him out there. So, I actually thought Giga done okay, I know. So I thought he'd done okay. But ultimately at the top end, they just didn't create enough clear-cut chances, and when he did present himself, they didn't finish him.
Any argument with the disallowed goal?
No, for neither. I think both are right. It's we got a VAR tutorial on Friday, and you know obviously the lines and things, and they're trying their best to get and they're automated. So when you hit a point and a point, so I know it's kind of cross bodies and it doesn't particularly look right, but they seem as if they've got them kind of
spot on.
Well, kind of right anyway.
Anybody argument with the 2 goals that were chalked off?
Yeah.
No? Okay. The upshot of it all is that Celtic managed to get themselves into the semi-final because of, and I have to talk about it, penalties. If I was putting my mortgage on a penalty kick taker, lads, I would have taken Tavernier all day long. He usually goes to the keeper's top right corner, and it doesn't matter if the keeper goes, he still gets it.
Yeah.
He decides to go down the middle and high, and
Pressure.
No, but you can't say pressure. The goals ratio from penalties from him is really high.
Is it?
It's. I mean,
Do we know? Is it 8, 9? 8 point something?
It would be up there, Alec.
Yeah.
He very rarely misses a penalty. That's the point.
Yeah. No. I think it's interesting because I think there was a water bottle at the side where Tavernier takes penalties. I'm not exactly sure. You need to bear with me. This is kind of bits. And when they were comfortable in the game, they would hit a certain point. When it was kind of nitty-gritty, he would maybe hit down the middle, and when it was there, he would wrap it. So there was a kind of, I'm not exactly sure.
A start on this?
Well, this was pretty much, there was a kind of theme about where they were in relation to the game. And that's so I think when people do their homework, you know, you look over numerous penalties, you look at the shape of the game, are they comfortable, are they fair? And he has a particular way that he goes, but he's obviously just gone a little bit too high, so that must have been his go-to yesterday because...
Do you think the goalkeeper put him off his antics and kicking the post and shouting and screaming off it?
No. By the way, that is a revelation. You've just gone past what he's just said there.
What?
I mean, that's an interesting point of Tavernier at certain points the game determines.
No, the goalkeepers now do. The goalkeeper.
No, but I'm talking about Tavernier, depending on where the game's going.
Nothing, he'll just...
I get that, but I mean,
That's a great insight. Do you know what this reminds
Thanks
me of?
very much, Peter.
No, but I mean, honestly, I was looking at you, I'm thinking, not that you don't come out with these gems, but I was looking at you thinking, bloody hell, that's a great line, because sometimes people have got that thought process in their head. The only reason I'm saying it, Ruffy, is I remember the last couple of weeks I watched a podcast where Andre Agassi highlighted that he was getting battered with Boris Becker with his serve all the time, but he realised that when Boris Becker threw the ball up, if he put his tongue out to the left-hand side, he
went a certain way.
He went a certain way, and then all of a sudden he started to return the serve all the time. So there's a line from him that I did not. The point here is, Ruffy, it was a poor penalty kick. It's high. I wouldn't have,
Yeah, you would have thought everything was going to go in Rangers' favour. I mean, the penalty kick's taken down the Rangers' end, with all the support behind it. You've not got anybody putting you off, behind. But, I mean, I know what Alex saying there, but goalkeepers are doing it now. Goalkeeping coaches, if they're here, are now Martin Downhill puts penalty kicks here, and they actually take the bottles onto the goal.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they actually know.
Aye.
They know, where. But there's no guarantee, is
I wouldn't have picked. Listen, it's easy now in hindsight, but I'm looking at him saying to myself, who took Celtic's first penalty?
Chamberlain.
Oxlade-Chamberlain, right? Who took the second one? Trusty. I'm looking, I'm saying to myself, Trusty.
And by the way, every one of Celtic's penalties was top drawer.
I know they were, but
Bajrami was lucky. Went under the
his
goalkeeper.
body, yeah.
And even the other one, I think Nadiri, I think he got a hand to it. So
Do you want another wee insight, which is a really good, interesting bit of information that I didn't know?
Right.
And I think it's kind of, that things are about to change. So see when you see Jack Butland standing behind the line and then he steps forward and then releases because he's still got one behind you. Well, you've no. Apparently you have to have 1 foot on the line now, so that you can't get that run and then leaking out because you know what I mean, Ruffy? So it gives
so the goalkeeper's behind the line.
Yeah, so Jack Butland had actually, our various goalkeepers were starting behind the line, and then as it was happening, they were stepping towards it, but which gave them a release.
Yeah.
Stopped. You've got to have 1 foot on the line now.
See, to be honest with you, by the way, you're 12 yards out. I wouldn't mind if the keeper could jump in front of you, for God's sake, man.
But anyway, because I wasn't aware that was, you had to, because that was a directive with us. If our goalkeeper started behind the line and he went to release forward, it would be retake. So he has to make contact. You have to have a foot on the line as he makes contact. So it's kind of timing.
It's a balancing act, isn't it? Yeah.
The advantage is all for the kicker. The kicker knows where he's putting it. The goalkeeper's guessing.
Yeah.
It was a guess.
It's really a 50-50, isn't it? You go one way or another. I know you can get down the middle, but...
By the way, I mean, with that in mind, Celtic, as Tam pointed out, their penalties were good penalties.
very good.
Well, again with the stats, with Jack Butland, the stats are, he's going to save one.
I thought it favoured Rangers because he gets such a good record as well. But in the end, they're through. And and the other thing that Kevin's pointed out here on our feed, and I was trying to sift through as many as possible to hopefully get some points out there, but neither keeper had a save to make, said Kevin. In the game, I was actually looking and thinking, where was there one top saves? There wasn't any one top draw save in the match,
Celtic particularly.
So as we look over the wreckage of that game, it's Celtic who booked their place in the semi-finals, and they will play St Mirren. Just as a footnote to all of that, Ruffy, Celtic go through. Rangers now, it's all or nothing. I mean, at the end of the day, should they be looking at Danny Rule and what as an overview, or in the big game start to really question him? I've noticed some people questioning him now, putting the microscope on him. I think he's got a summer to build his own team.
Yeah, no, I don't think you should be questioning him. I think he'll be questioning some of the players. I think he initially went in there and he says, "Look, I'm not going to take my time. I'm going to assess what I've got, and I'll know the people that really want to be here and the people who don't want to be here." So the major bit of my job is identifying the players who I don't want here next season. So I think when the first chance he gets, you'll see the players that he doesn't want at the club, and I think that's where you can judge him. Who he lets go and what else he brings in.
I think next season, is it fair to say, is that's when you're going to be judged?
Yeah, listen, see, the thing is, we're very reactive in this part of the world. Obviously, Russell Martin lasted until October. I think this guy's come in and he's actually stabilised the playing squad with the personnel. They've obviously brought 4 or 5 in January. still debatable to see who's actually been the standout for that group.
Does he have to win to keep his job? Does he have to win the title to keep his job?
No, not at all. Not at all, Peter. Not at all. If you're conducting yourself as a board that you're getting a guy from October to the middle of May, that's no time at all. You have to allow him to assess it. I think the structure within Rangers has changed because Kevin Felwell and that's gone now. So then you have a recruitment policy that they'll identify. I think they still need a wee bit more. They most certainly need a right sider. Is Olsen going to be that? Are they going to pay 8 or 9 million of what you've seen so far? I think that would be a bit of a stretch. So they still need that position ratified. And then I agree with Ruffy in the respect that is he will shake the bed sheets up about the guys he feels as if, right, okay, these guys are not for us too going forward. And then they identify several new players for that, and then it's just a case of trying to build your squad. I think one of the things over the last couple of weeks, I think what he's most certainly done, and I don't think this is up for debate, is he's made them harder to beat. They don't lose a lot of games, Rangers. But at the top end, I think you still, with being more resolute, you still have to carry more of a threat, for me.
Yeah.
He comes across after games very good. He's a good talker compared to some of the ones that were doing the pressers after the games. You're sitting there going, what's he talking about? You know,
Yeah.
I think when he speaks well.
Okay, I think you're right. I think it's a sensible point of view on this. Rangers fans, give us your thoughts on it as well. I think Danny Rule will be absolutely ecstatic that he doesn't have the Tottenham board having a look at him. Okay, as far as the other games are concerned, I've got to ask you, St Mirren 2, Partick Thistle 1. Good performance from your boys, just not enough in the end, Alec, because quite simply, I think the contentious moment was that penalty award.
Yeah, no, listen, I think Mark really hit the nail on the head last night when he says, listen, if you're going to lose a cup tie, you may as well try and do it in the manner that we did. We had a right good go in the second half, and I need to be careful what I say in terms of the penalty, because if I say what I want to say, I'll be sin-dyed.
Yeah. You're going to get yourself in trouble.
Yeah. No, I mean, literally sin-dyed. I'm not talking about a 2-game here, I mean sin-dyed.
Right, okay.
So, no, listen, we
well, Mark Wilson,
agree with it.
Yeah, Mark Wilson did say after the game, the ref didn't see it from the proper angle. Why not ask for every angle? Quite simply, Stephen Robinson said he was happy with the VAR decision because they're due another 12 back from the decisions that they've got gone against them, which I can understand where Stephen Robinson is coming from, but Tam, there is a situation where I looked at it and I thought it's bounced up off his leg, it's hit his arm. I didn't think it was a penalty. Can you give me a little bit of that phone of yours over?
Keep talking.
Yeah, and Ruffy will get this. We had an official offer a possible out on this one, but David Dickinson goes to the VAR and he awards a penalty.
I just think it's incredibly harsh. I don't believe that if a ball deflects from a part of your body onto your hand, it should be a penalty. I don't believe that, Peter, because there's not different if it just directly hits your hand, then fine. If your hand's in a natural position, it's maybe blocking a shot or it's going towards goal and it hits your hand, fine. If it deflects off your part of your body or a part of your opposition body and hits your hand, I don't think that should be a penalty kick, because the player doesn't know anything about it. It's just luck. It's bad luck that hits his hand. So I thought it was really, really harsh on Thistle.
It puts you on the back foot.
Yeah, no, without doubt. And I thought obviously the first 30 minutes, I thought we could have actually created more at the top end, and I think that's what we said at half time. We wanted to try and kind of test their keeper, test their back line more, and we most certainly did that in the second half. And see if you're going to engage with someone and it hits you 2 feet off the ground and then it ricochets up onto an arm. I'm not quite sure where they're going with that. And I think what Mark was trying to say after the game is it was our understanding that when the referee went to the monitor, he did not get a view of that ricochet from his leg onto his arm. So in my opinion, he's made an assumption on the whatever it hits his hand. And for me, that's not providing the referee with the full story. Yeah. So when you look at that, and as I said to you, a club like us, and I don't want to get the violin out, but the cost of that was substantial for a club like us. And, we could have used that with better resources for what we feel as if we got there. And I think, ideally we would like to kind of have discussions on it, because the thing is, we need to. I'm actually a big advocate of VAR. I know we batter it and things like that, but I just think we have really got a real inconsistency that 1 week that will not be given, the next week, and I think it's a real clear lack of directive at times, and it goes back to subjectivity, and there's too much to and from with it.
Okay, I can't tell you that there are discussions underway with the SFA to bring in full-time referees. That's something that obviously the clubs are going to have to debate. There is a financial cost that somebody's going to have to find to pay for these referees at the SFA. And then, of course, you've got the dilemma over, is that money sufficient enough for some referees at this point in their life to give up their jobs and go full-time as a match official? These are all the different layers of how you actually put this in to use, and whether that comes to fruition or not, I don't know, but I certainly know that they are having discussions about full-time referees. Is that the way ahead?
Yeah, it is, but you just hit the nail on the head there. A lot of these guys have got part-time jobs, or full-time jobs, sorry, and they're doing this part-time, so can they cover the cost of what they're doing into refereeing? So I think some managers, maybe referees, younger referees would jump at the chance to go full-time, but the older guys maybe are settled in a job or a trade, and that might not suit them. So, but I do believe that. I do believe, if you're asking me, should our referees be full time? 100% yes.
So see, the thing is, we have a full time. You know, at the top level, it's a full time, and when we have officials that are part time, and I don't.
If you're fitter, if you get the same eyes, what's the difference?
Well, will
it make you a better official?
Well,
I think we've got a poor crop at the moment.
No, well, the thing is, I think you would most certainly have more time to study the game. So see, the thing is, if you're a lawyer and a teacher, you're spending all day preparing for a case, or you know, your criteria for the kids. I think you'd be investing more time on there. You most certainly would be fitter, I think, because the thing is, you can invest more time into being a full-time ref. I think the only way that this could put, and I'm very much for full-time referees, because, as I said to you, I'm not quite sure where they get the time to actually
study their craft.
Well, no, not so much study as well. So, see if you think about a school teacher, just a school teacher, for example. He has to get into work at 8:15 in the morning, and then he has to finish at 4. If he's an English teacher, he's going to have to mark and do the bit. When do you get the time to train at the same level as the players do? So, firstly, they're going to be more fitter because you have more time to invest every day. The only way this works for me is that you say, right, okay, there's 4 up-and-coming referees who we feel are going to make that jump into full-time. And then what happens is, because a lot of these old guys will know they've got such a cushy number, you know, there's lawyers, I don't know what a lawyer makes today, but it'll be substantial on top of the top level match fee.
Yeah.
And then they have the European and maybe international. So see, for me, Peter, if you integrate full-time and then you make that kind of phase-out period for this current crop, whether that's 5-10 years, and then you end up with a crop that are going to be full-time, for me, that is the way forward, because as it currently stands at the moment, I'm not too sure it's the way forward.
You all for that?
Well, I see full-time referees down in England and they're making mistakes left, right and centre.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's a difficult one.
Well,
I think if you ask any of the referees, I know Alex touched on the fitness thing, I think if you ask the referees, they are more fitter than what they used to be. They train more, they commit more, you know, that they actually got better figures than some of the English referees as well. You know, they'll tell you that the refereeing up here has moved on dramatically. But
who's telling you that?
It's a referee.
What one? No, sorry, I mean, you mean...
At top level, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So Scottish referees telling you they're doing more mileage and all that, I would take that with a pinch of salt.
Okay. Well, listen, it's on the agenda, I can tell you, but whether it actually gathers any pace in the next year, over the summer, I'll keep you posted. Simple as that. Did you think they were capable, just briefly, of getting back once Stanley scored that lovely goal?
No, we did, and we obviously tried balls flashed across the face and so forth. And I think it was Rico had won it in near post. He felt as if he should have scored as well. So we pushed and we probed, and unfortunately, it wasn't to be. Now we just need to refocus our energy into the title push.
I've said this year on year, and I'm going to say it again this year. And the evidence of Partick Thistle and Dunfermline, I think there's 2 premierships teams going to drop out of that league this year.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You said that last year.
Yeah, I think this year more than the evidence of this year with the results And I hope it does happen.
The overall standard of the Premiership.
If 2 Championship teams get in that Premiership, we might get a look at changing the league and letting more teams like Partick
Not
Thistle.
a chance.
If you get 2 Premier teams out there, not got a vote, they've lost 2 votes right away,
Yeah.
and you've got 2 Championship teams coming in who will want an expanded league.
Not a chance. It's a
Well,
dictatorship.
well-
And not only is it a dictatorship, it's also a group of clubs who are all in it for their own self-interest.
Seen the WhatsApps
But
like?
if you take 2 of them out of the equation, that
Yeah.
voting favours the Championship team.
Yeah, and suddenly
What they
the
want.
dictator's going to give up.
No, but I mean, you got to think they'd be wise to it. I mean, look, there's Dunfermline, 11,000.
You need,
Thistle
you
would
need,
take
you need to
10,000.
wait till a couple of generations of boards go, Ruffy, before everybody starts thinking of the collective again.
The only point I'm trying to make is there'd be 2 of them who are not voting
Yeah.
for their own rights out the equation.
So you want the
And there's another-
championship sides up there?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Listen, I'm all for your being biased towards them or in favour of them for change, but I don't see it happening at the moment. Dunfermline 3, Aberdeen 0. Now, this is my moment. I'm having it. For all those Aberdeen fans who gave me absolute dog's abuse, pelters for suggesting Neil Lennon as your manager before you hired Jimmy Talleen, here's your moment, because quite simply, if you'd hired Neil Lennon, you wouldn't be in the mess you're in right now. You know, they've had a Scottish Cup win. Other than that, it's gone from one debacle to the next. The board is an absolute disgrace because now they've got nothing to play for, try to avoid going into a playoff position. The season ticket holders have paid their money up front and they've had to witness Neil Lennon's Dunfermline, a team of youngsters, batter them. And this is, Neil Lennon says, and this puts it into perspective, it's one of my best achievements in football, up there with beating Barcelona, winning trebles, getting promotion with Hibs, winning a cup in Cyprus. That's just a few of the things he's managed to achieve. Aberdeen, Peter leaving, frustrated, angry, disappointed. They wanted it more, and he's apologised to the fans. They wanted it more.
Yeah, I just think that Aberdeen, we've been speaking about them for probably a month now, Peter. They're just rudderless at the minute. You know, they've put all their eggs in the one basket about getting a manager at the end of the season. They seem to have totally written off the rest of this season. And that was no surprise, that result. You know, I fancied Dunfermline to beat Aberdeen. I just think the Aberdeen players have down tools. I think you can speak about Peter leaving all you want. He's in there. I think he's a bit of a fall guy at the minute, but I don't think it's him. I think it's the players. They've completely down tools. They've got so much more quality than they're showing at the minute, Aberdeen. And you're right. I think Dunfermline ran over the top of them. I think they wanted it more. A lot of young, hungry players in that team, and they battered Aberdeen 3-0, flattered Aberdeen. So delighted for Neil Lennon, delighted for Dunfermline, one of my old clubs, and delighted that they've drawn Falkirk in the semi-final, because I think you're obviously going to see one of them.
Bit of needle on that as well, that game.
That's
Does
a big
anybody
fixture,
know
that.
what the needle is?
Oh, aye.
I remember asking somebody, I can't
don't
remember
know.
what it was.
They're rivals.
Aye.
How?
I played in both.
Yeah.
I played for both, and obviously both reverse fixtures and full houses.
I know.
Yeah.
I made my debut against Dunfermline when I was, what,
Was it a wee bit tasty?
Oh, it was lively. I mean, bravo. You're sitting right on top of the...
Somebody will give us the history on something, you know, that I remember that somebody saying to me St Johnstone and Dundee were great rivals as well as Dundee United, and it was because I think in the 60s Dundee got them relegated.
All right, okay.
It was one of those situations, you know, and there's a bit of bad blood which is carried through generations. But again, Dunfermline, Falkirk there's a wee bit about it. But listen, what an opportunity for Dunfermline. I thought they played great football, Ruffy.
Yeah, they were super, and they got the goals at the right time. I thought, and Alec will know these players better than me, I thought the 2 big boys at the back for Dunfermline were pretty impressive.
Aye, but the boy Mullen's good.
Yeah, and the boy Todd,
Yeah.
you know, that, you know, I just think the game went for them, and as Tam said, I don't think Aberdeen players had the character to fight their way out of it. I don't know, they just don't look, they don't look at a team that's great in the dressing room.
I watched them up at Pittodrie, Ruffy. It was a 10-15 minute spell against Celtic. I don't think you can judge people on a bit of banter in the dressing room.
I think
it's
it's
about
good.
players on the
Yeah,
park.
no, but if
Lyle Cameron and Stuart Armstrong up at Pittodrie against Celtic were the only ones that looked as if
Wee
they
bit
were
hunger,
capable
yeah.
of playing a bit of
And
football.
if you have a wee bit of banter in the dressing room, you want to battle for your pal next day.
Yeah.
The guy you're stripping beside, if he's struggling, you're helping him out.
Won't help
I
you if
don't
you haven't
see-
got a good touch.
I don't see any of that.
But by the way, listen,
I agree with Ruffy. I agree with him.
No. Listen, there's a lot.
In that squad.
No, but you know the thing is, and I've been quite critical of Shinnie this season because it looks as if it's a year too much for him. But he's been a great servant to every club he's played for, and he's been a really good professional. So much so that he's won the Scottish Cup with 2 teams.
Yes.
He was well within his rights to dig out that dressing room. So see, when things are going great and you're my pal and I'm going to help you on the pitch, like Ruffy's talking about, seeing the other side of the coin when things are not going well, and you all have to look at each other and go, we need to batter in here. And I don't see that with the Aberdeen team. So in terms right about the rudderless situation, if you're waiting for January to the summer and you talk about pressure, they really need to produce a manager that's going to hit the ground running because they've waited so long. This guy is still, whoever it is, still has to assess who he wants to keep, who do we need to get ready. So I think it's a really bit of a gamble, really, that they don't have, because you've got a director of football in there. We often talk about a wee portfolio of managers or who's doing really well. Oh, John McGlynn. There you go. That guy, he can get us stabilised and get us going in the right trajectory. We mentioned the boy Askew. All being, you might have had to move in January before he's on an incredible run.
Yeah.
So these are guys that you could potentially have went to get that for me would have been a really safe pair of hands because you're watching them week in, week out. I don't know what the recruitment drive is, but they're looking as if there was a brilliant win for Neil Lennon in Dunfermline because what it does is it catapults them as well in profiling things. You know, they're kind of batting around about the playoffs. So I think if you'd have said at the start of the season with a potential chance to get to the Scottish Cup final, playoffs, and then it's a building process for Neil and what they're trying to do. I spoke to John Colquhoun, who's kind of the director, he's overseen all this a couple of weeks ago, my old teammate. So, you know, they look at this gives you about a tangible success in the trajectory they want to go. So I think it's a really important win for Neil.
Yeah, Falkirk, John McGlynn, again, you know, just great attacking football, and I think we all tipped Falkirk to win Ruffy on Friday.
Yeah, I think they've been one of the surprise packages of the season. I think that they've got, obviously they'll be big favourites. I think they beat Dunfermline in the semi-final. I think big pitch, you know, the way they knock the ball about, it'll be tough for Dunfermline. They'll be favourites to get to a Scottish Cup final, and they're obviously secured the top 6. They'll be trying to chase Hibs down, so yeah, we speak about managers of the year every week on here, and he's got to be up there. Yeah. And if Falkirk, say for example, played Celtic or St Mirren in the final, you wouldn't think they were complete underdogs the way they've played this season, and they've stuck it up to Celtic. So yeah, I think that. Listen, I think they deserve to win the other night. Dundee United came back in the second half and had a bit of a go, but yeah, brilliant for Falkirk, brilliant for their supporters, and that's going to be a great semi-final. Falkirk, Dunfermline at Hampden. Before
we talk about the league game, before we finish, who's winning them then? Celtic at St Mirren, Falkirk, Dunfermline?
I think it'll be a Celtic-Falkirk final.
Ruffy?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's that's what I see as well, but you just never know in these games. That's the thing is, you know, you've obviously seen St Mirren beat Celtic, you know, in the last cup final. Whether they've got that form currently, you know, will be on the day really, but I suspect it'll be what these guys are saying.
Okay, last point of the weekend's football that we watched, Ruffy. Dundee 2, Motherwell 1. They've got...
By the way,
I knew you were waiting on it. By the way, By the way, I
waited 20 weeks.
I know. He's waiting to batter me on it. I was watching Motherwell, and again, I have to praise Stephen Presley. He said his priority is to stay in the league. I've said they're going to finish top of the bottom 6, but Motherwell just couldn't break them down, Ruffy, and they had the majority of the play, and they were absolutely trying to pick a hole in them, but Dundee were absolutely brilliant defending it.
Yeah, it was one of the days, you know, they gave the lot, you know, it just never went for them. They just couldn't get that second one. But no, all credit goes to Dundee. If we were they were a couple of months ago, we all had them bottom 3. And now look where they are now, and things are looking rosy for them.
Yeah, it was a good win for them, and I have to say they deserve all the credit for getting that win as well. Stephen Presley's trying to keep a lid on it all.
Yeah, listen, I've spoken about Stephen before. I worked under him at Falkirk. He's a brilliant guy, great coach, and I'm so happy for him because he was written off by near enough the whole Dundee support when he first came in, and they never gave him an opportunity. He had a poor start to the League Cup campaign. There were a few wanting him out the door. no, they're choking in their words now, I think, and I think they are, but yeah, I think you're right. I think they'll finish top with the bottom 6.
Okay, here's the quiz. Courtesy of Elite Joinery and Fire Protection. We did ask when was the last time Dunfermline reached the semi-finals of the Scottish Cup, and the answer was 2009.
Thanks very much, boys.
Thank you. Well done, Alex.
Thank you.
Top man.
I was there.
It's
Can I get it wrong?
it's a bad state.
Honestly.
Played Celtic the
By the way, it's that all hospitality again. Same again, old boy.
Exactly. By the way, just in case you think, and we are sometimes guilty of our insular thinking in Scotland and in the UK at times, we think the world revolves around us. Spare a thought for the football show in Brazil at the moment, where Alan Rafinho is talking to Peter Martinez and Alec Rayo and Tam McManus, because there was red cards. 23 players were sent off in the match between Cruzeiro and Atletico Mineiro in the final.
Did you see it? Did you see the footage?
I didn't see the footage. Have you seen it?
I seen it. Oh, it was an absolute brawl. But it was handbag. No, one of the ones that running up and just doing wee slaps. And all that.
Slap, 23 slaps?
It wasn't a proper sprawl.
So, no, you against MSPs or councillors back in the day? See you later.
Yeah, absolutely. I was at the other end of the park. No, it wasn't quite MSPs against the football writers.
Remember it?
But I trust you to remember that. The other thing I was going to say, was it anywhere near George McCluskey, Graham Souness type brawl?
No.
23 players and Ruffy up the other end.
Ruffy bottled it.
Was it anything like that? No. Well,
Bar
anyway.
Bar him away at the back.
It's not the true story.
Yeah, absolutely. But I have to tell you though, they're going to be looking into that game as well. I'd love to know what the penalties are.
23 red cards, that's unbelievable.
23 red cards. Anyway, on that note, I hope you've enjoyed the programme. Listen, we try and offer you as much balance as we possibly can. It was meant to be the second helping of the Old Firm Rangers against Celtic at Ibrox, which we hoped it was going to bring us the same excitement as the week before in the league encounter. It certainly was tense, blood, guts and thunder, and then eventually, unfortunately, some fans from either camp have really tarnished the good name of their clubs, and over and above that, the repercussions will become evident over the next few days and weeks as well. How do we stamp it out? How do we stop it? How do we look at society and the behaviour and the attitude towards each other, people who have hatred for each other, all because of a game of football and the colours that you're wearing on that day, and in some cases because of your religion. It's something that just goes on and on and on, but we need to try and nip it in the bud and make sure that there are people out there who pay the penalty for it. We will try and offer you as balanced a view as possible. Thanks to Alan Ruff, Alec Ray and Tam McManus for their thoughts on that. What we do know is that Celtic will play St Mirren and Dunfermline will play Falkirk in the Scottish Cup semi-final all throughout this week. We'll be discussing undoubtedly that shame game again, getting your points of view, but hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel and hopefully you can come and join the PLZ family. It is, after all, only a game. Thank you for listening. And thank you for watching.